The future of Christianity and gay marriage. Pope Francis has just dropped a bombshell of a remark that has shaken the Christian community and the world as a whole. In Francesco, a new documentary that premiered in Rome in mid-October, Pope Francis departed from Catholic teaching and endorsed same-sex civil unions. We discuss it in depth in our video today, The Future of Christianity and Gay Marriage. Welcome to Trending's Finest, where we give you the hottest updates on the world's most viral news, videos, and stories in the most exciting format. Click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to not miss a single beat of the world's pulse. Pope Francis became the first pontiff to endorse same-sex civil unions, sparking cheers from gay Catholics and demands for clarifications from conservatives given the Vatican's official teaching on the issue. We give you the full lowdown on Pope Francis's remarks, their meaning, the deleted part of his statement, and most importantly, where Christianity is headed with Pope Francis in the 21st century. Stay tuned. Law of Civil Coexistence. Pope Francis's recently released remarks appear in a documentary, Francesco, made with the approval of the Vatican, which had its premiere in mid-October at the Rome Film Festival. Directed by Evgeny Afanevsky, who has made films about the crisis in Ukraine and Syria, the documentary follows people whose lives have been affected by the Pope. One sequence involves Andrea Rubera, a gay man who lives in Rome with his partner and their 3 adopted children. After taking part in a mass at the papal residence, Rubera gave Francis a letter explaining that he and his partner hope to raise the children as Catholics. Francis phoned him, offered encouragement, and told him, as Rubera recalls in the film, to be aware that in the parish, not all people will share your choice of having a family like that. Rubera adds, he didn't mention which was his opinion about my family. Probably he is following the doctrine on this point, but the attitude toward people has massively changed. In the film, Francis is then heard saying, homosexual people have a right to be in the family. They are children of God. They have a right to a family. Nobody should be thrown out of the family or made miserable over this. What we have to do is make a law of civil coexistence, for they have the right to be legally covered. I stood up for that. Those comments stirred approval from progressives and consternation from traditionalists. James Martin, a Jesuit priest with an active ministry to LGBTQ people, whom Francis met at the Vatican last year, described them on Twitter as historic. He wrote, "What makes Pope Francis's comments supporting same-sex civil unions today so momentous? First, he's saying them as Pope, not Archbishop of Buenos Aires. Second, he's clearly supporting, not simply tolerating, civil unions. Third, he's saying it on camera, not privately." What it really means, and Pope Francis's deleted words. The Pope's words on right to a family were widely interpreted as meaning movement toward a right to gay marriage. However, this would be at odds with many statements in which the Pope has defined family as a man, woman, and child. His encyclical Amoris Laetitia, or Joy of Love, even quoted approvingly the argument that there are absolutely no grounds for considering homosexual unions to be, even remotely analogous to God's plan for marriage and family. His ongoing support for civil unions has been as an alternative to gay marriage, not a bridge toward it. In context, especially listening to the rest of the clip, it seems the Pope is discussing gay people's family of origin, rebuking parents who reject their gay children. Rejection by Catholic parents can shatter a child's trust in God. By speaking for the worth of gay children, for whom he calls in the new documentary Children of God, Francis hopes to restore that trust. The remarks were reportedly edited in different ways by both the film's director and the Vatican. They are drawn from an interview with the Pope conducted in the spring of 2019 by Valentina Alazarki, a longtime Vatican correspondent for the Mexican broadcaster Televisa. At the time, the Vatican, exercising its usual prerogative, struck the comments about civil unions before clearing the footage for release to Televisa. Afanevsky incorporated that struck-out footage into his documentary. A significant sentence was left out, however, so that Francis is heard approving of civil unions, but is not heard adding, that does not mean approving of homosexual acts, not in the least. The Pope affirms the Catholic doctrine that sex is reserved for marriage between a man and a woman, so no, the Pope does not support gay marriage. Those who believe these latest clips indicate a change of his stance will be disappointed. But many people wanted the Pope to talk about gay people's own longing to form a family because they hunger for some acknowledgement that being gay is about more than sexual desire. The longing for gay marriage is also longing for home, care, devotion, commitment, for love that doesn't shrink from sacrifice. What surprised and delighted many gay people, both outside and within the church, was the possibility that he would speak about the homosexuals' longings in positive terms. History of Pope Francis's remarks on the matter. An offhanded remark that Pope Francis made about gay people in July 2013 is still the single most memorable statement of his pontificate. He made it during a press conference on a flight from Rio to Rome, after a reporter alluded to a supposed gay lobby at the Vatican. Francis said, "If someone is gay and is searching for the Lord and he has goodwill, then who am I to judge him?" That reply, just 4 months after his election, signaled that as he settled into the office, he wasn't going to abandon the joyous spontaneity of the first weeks of his tenure. It revealed his personal humility before questions of human sexuality and suggested an openness to the lives of gay people that runs strongly counter to Catholic history, church teaching, and Vatican policy. In 2018, he used language almost identical to that heard in his latest video, that gay son and daughter has a right to family. Do not throw them out of the family. And in 2016, the Pope said the Church owes gay people an apology. Keep watching to find out where all this leads in the Christianity of the 21st century. Christianity in the 21st century. Francis has been described in turn as a revolutionary pope, a Latin American sociologist, and a Trump-style disruptor. In fact, he's an incrementalist who works in small ways with gestures and enigmatic pronouncements. In 2018, Francis sent a 90th birthday greeting to the Peruvian theologian Gustavo Gutierrez, symbolically bringing the whole movement known as liberation theology in from the cold after decades of Vatican scrutiny. The next year, he traveled to the United Arab Emirates, becoming the first pope to visit the Arabian Peninsula. He celebrated Mass for at least 135,000 people, most of them Catholic migrant workers from the Philippines, India, and South America who lack a path to citizenship or protection from the Muslim country's strict anti-blasphemy laws. But he did not address either issue publicly during his 2-day visit. On matters of human sexuality, though, it can be argued that Francis's incrementalism is confounding to the point of being incoherent. Church teaching holds that marriage is between a man and a woman, and that gay sex is sinful for a number of reasons. For example, because it's sex outside of what the church regards as a properly constituted marriage, and because not being ordered towards procreation, it is contrary to the creative wisdom of God. It is a more or less strong tendency ordered toward an intrinsic moral evil, in the words of a document issued by the Vatican in October 1986, at a grave moment in the AIDS epidemic for gay men in the United States, which counseled people with the homosexual condition to live chastely and to join the sufferings and difficulties it brought on those of Christ on the cross. More than 30 years later, neither progressive Catholics nor traditionalists actively envision a world in which large numbers of gay people will live in committed same-sex relationships, but will shun sexual activity as an intrinsic moral evil. Francis then has complicated the Church's position rather than clarified it, and he did it in an interview rather than with an encyclical or Vatican conference. There are good reasons for him to act incrementally and offhandedly rather than directly. For one thing, his efforts to advance bold objectives through the formal structures of the papacy on climate change, immigration, or income inequality have met with something less than approval from the Catholic populace. For another, the Church's understanding of LGBTQ people can't simply be changed by papal decree. The questions of human sexuality are no less complex than those of the economy or the environment. And it seems on some level that Francis's strenuous efforts to address intractable global problems serve to draw attention away from the problem near at hand. Namely, that when it comes to sexuality, the Church's account of the human person is as useless as trickle-down economics and coal-burning power plants. It's possible, of course, that Francis is wholeheartedly behind church teaching, convinced that gay people should live chastely, including those in the civil unions he supports in the documentary. If that's the case, he can simply say so and put the question of his commitments to rest. But it may be that in supporting those unions, he's acknowledging that the church needs to revise its understanding of gay people. Wilton Gregory, the Archbishop of Washington, D.C., who was named the first African-American cardinal by the Pope on Sunday, wrote in 2014, while Archbishop of Atlanta, that the distinction that our church makes between orientation and behavior is one which admittedly needs re-examination and development. A full recognition of gay people will have profound consequences for the church's teachings about marriage, the family, personhood, bioethics, celibacy, sex among the clergy, about human sexuality on the whole. At some point, the church is going to have to address it all directly, through an encyclical letter, or a synod, or even an ecumenical council on the human person, a Vatican III, which would bring the church into the 21st century as Vatican II brought it belatedly into the 20th. The words that Francis said back in 2013, "Who am I to judge?" are ones by which he himself will be judged. He will turn 84 in December. A council on the human person is likely a project for a successor. Meanwhile, his incrementalist approach makes sense only if he keeps Catholicism moving in the right direction, toward recognizing gay people in the ways that they recognize themselves. It may be stretching credulity to see his remarks in support of same-sex civil unions as a means to the eventual end of the full embrace of gay people, and yet they are a step of some kind. And it may be that Francis knows where he and the church must go. What do you think? Does the future of Christianity involve the full embrace of gay people? Let your voice be heard in the comments down below so we can all talk about it some more. In other news, fear of open conflict in East Asia are rampant as we discuss it in our other video, World War III, US, India, Japan, and Australia unite against China. Find out the 4 quality grades of beef these 4 countries have with China. Of course, we've saved the prime grade A beef for last, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. This is Trending's Finest. Always the trendiest, always the finest.